Good day and welcome to our weekly discussions where we talk everything about finance in a straightforward manner. We're going to look at a chart, a question of the week, and also perhaps a quote of the week. VJ, you spoke about the rugby last time. Well, it was a good omen for us. We beat France this past weekend. Hopefully it can continue. But we're not here to talk about rugby. We're to talk about finance. So what do you have for us today? You mentioned you have a couple of charts that you want to share with us today.
Yeah, thank you. I'm just gonna put it on the screen. Yeah, so I think we get this question a lot. This is roughly the past 10 years, and it was just easy to take the Satrix MSCI World Index Fund and compare it to Satrix Top 40. And I think a lot of people know that South Africa, let's say, underperformed the world index the last time. And a lot of people say, well, this is just South African factors. And we always look internally at our own problems, and that's because there's no growth or anything like that. So you can see roughly in 10 years, you doubled your money in South Africa, 109% of you were invested in the index. While if you were invested in the Satrix MSCI World Index, it went up 2.5 times, 263% over that same period. Now, a lot of people say, okay, is this internal reasons or what's the big reason for that? So I just want to take a broader picture. Again, this is not financial advice. This is just historic, and it's definitely not an indication what's going to happen in the future. Actually, if you look at this, sometimes you have to choose the thing that performed the worst the last 10 years, and that's probably one that's going to perform the best in the next 11 years. Again, that's probably the fact. But I just want to compare. So this is the, let's say, top 40 shares in South Africa compared to the world index. You can see there's a quite big margin in the last 10 years. So was it only South Africa that underperformed? Well, this is what we're going to look at. And actually, if you take out S&P 500, is the 500 biggest companies in the USA, you can see that this is from 2007 up until now. You can see there was a big outperformance. If you take the MSCI World Index that I took now and you take the USA out of it, and you can see it roughly went together up until 2011, and then there came a big divergence and a big, massive, not following each other. And normally they follow each other, and you can see the S&P 500, the USA, outperformed the last 10 years to all countries. And this is ex-USA. South Africa is like a part of this index, but it's like 2%, so it's a very small part of the index. But this includes China, Europe, the whole of Europe, Japan, and you can see if you were invested there, but this is in US dollar terms. The previous chart I showed was in rand terms. In US dollar terms, you roughly after 13 years, you will have your money back. So that's not great amount to be, but if you were invested in the USA, you can see you almost tripled your money. So that's great. So only you didn't have to be invested in South Africa, but also not in the rest of the world, only in the USA, and you would have been right. But if we drop down, was it all of the companies in the USA that did well? Not really. Again, this is the S&P 500, and we take the Magnificent Seven. It was always the FANG stocks, but they changed a bit, and they say this is the 7 stocks that performed quite awesomely. It was Manamat is the abbreviation. It's Meta, Facebook, Alphabet, Google, Nvidia, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, and Tesla. And if you strip out those 7 stocks, you can see if you invested there, you would have 16 times the amount of money that you had. While you invested in the other 500 shares, so it's 500 minus the 7, you would only have doubled your money. Still, it's a lot better than we did in the rest of the world. But you can see this is where all the growth comes from, was this 7 stocks. So now hindsight, this perfect science, we can just say, oh, so why didn't we invest in this just technology companies? Because we know it's the future, and they had a lot of earnings. A lot of people bought the shares. The iPhone was even in this time. You can just see these companies did quite well. But it's not that easy just to say, let's pick technology stocks. Because if you take the loss-making tech stocks, we have, like I said, the 7 stocks that did quite well. In the last 5 years, the loss-making tech stocks, a lot of people said, okay, I'm just going to buy tech because we know tech's going to do well. You can actually see loss-making tech stocks, guys, not the Magnificent 7, actually did the same as the rest of the market. A lot more volatile. You can see it went even bigger than those 7 stocks, but it fell quite hard. So it's not that easy. And again, this is historic information. what are you going to go with the future? And you can see last year there was a big correction in these stocks and it went up well. But the future holds, and we know this can also come down because of valuations. These companies are quite expensive at this stage. But yeah, this is just for interest's sake. It's not only South Africans that are underperform. The other companies did not quite do as well as those 7 stocks.
PJ, thank you. That is quite interesting. But what do you as an investor then do? I mean, stock selection is becoming more and more important, and we see in the JSE also last couple of years.
Richmond.
If you didn't hold Naspers, you would have lagged behind. So Richmond and now so stock selection definitely very important. But what do you do as an investor? Do you buy the tracker, the MSCI World, and at least then you hold some of these tech stocks, because it will be impossible to, like you say, choose all of the right stocks and leave all of the wrong stocks. So do you just choose a tracker and have exposure to as many stocks as possible? Or do you try with a certain sense of your portfolio, maybe a 5%, then you do select
how do we know? It's easy in hindsight to say, oh, there's 7 stocks is the correct ones to pick. For you as a retail investor to try to pick the next 7 big stocks, it's very difficult. That's what pros try to do. And we use passive funds, and we then use experts in that field and say, okay, maybe they can identify those big stocks. Again, they spread a bit wider. They pick 20 stocks, and maybe they can pick the right ones. And if you had those 7, it would have been great. So I think it's a combination because of where valuations, especially in the US, are. You need to pick the correct stock. So that's where active as a manager, that's what you do the whole day, is try to look at valuations and future earnings. Again, for a retail investor to try to do that, I think it's a bit of luck. So if you picked all those 7 stocks, continue with that and maybe go to the casino as well, because the luck is on your side.
Yeah, and that's at active versus passive, and I think that's for us as advisors so nice. You can blend it these days, so it's nice to have a base of, say, passives. It's nice and cheap, and you do buy the market, but then perhaps with a certain portion of your money, you can trust that active asset managers to do.
But we'll do it at the other side. Passive, the choice to go passive is also an active decision. It's very difficult. What passive do I choose? Because there's so many passives available now. Which one do you choose? But anyway, that's a discussion for the other day.
Okay. It's a discussion for next time. That's maybe make a note there, PJ. Take us through passive and active, and also, like you mentioned, passive offshore and passive in South Africa is also not the same. But Ruvan, we're not going to take up much of your time now. So what do you have for us this week?
Thank you, Joe. I'm a little bit more practical this morning. So I'll be speaking about the 5 reasons that you're not investing, and it's based on an article that I wrote recently, and I'll just get straight into it. So obviously, an investment portfolio does serve as a vehicle for wealth accumulation, passive income generation, and obviously ultimately attaining financial independence. So this journey does obviously have formidable challenges, and it can obviously leave aspiring investors feeling a bit overwhelmed and apprehensive. So that first step, or the first reason that you're not investing is number one, the lack of knowledge. So many individuals may refrain from investing because they feel that they don't have enough knowledge or understanding of how investments work. The complexities of financial markets and various investment options can be intimidating and can lead people to avoid investing altogether. The second one is the fear of losing money. I think that might be quite a big one. Investing always carries some level of risk, and the fear of losing money can be a significant deterrent. The volatility of financial markets and the possibility of investments losing value can make individuals hesitant to take the plunge. So the third one is trust issues. I think that's also one of the big deterrents. So trust is crucial when it comes to investing, obviously. Some individuals may have reservations about the integrity of financial institutions, investment advisors, or the overall stability of markets. Lack of trust can deter people from participating in investments. And the fourth one is prioritizing other financial goals. This is also depending on each person and obviously the economic cycle we find ourselves in. Some individuals prioritize immediate financial needs, such as paying off debts or saving for emergencies, over investing for the long term. So it can be challenging to strike a balance between different financial goals and these commitments. Once again, depending on the economic cycle and where we find ourselves in, like exactly now. The fifth one is complexity and jargon of the markets. So the financial industry can be complex, and it can obviously be filled with technical terms and jargon that can be overwhelming for those not familiar with it. And I think that perceived complexity can discourage people from entering the world of investing completely. So I think it's quite important to understand these different issues, and make yourself open to investing. And I think that through obviously through education as well, I think it might be easier to overcome these issues. And obviously investing is a powerful tool for wealth accumulation, but it's quite essential to approach it with a clear understanding of the risk, the goals, and your personal circumstances.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ruvan. And I think all of those very practical, definitely what we see why people are not investing. And I specifically like that third one, trust issues. I think we do see that a lot of people don't trust themselves anymore because they made a mistake, or they don't trust an advisor anymore because they made a mistake or sold them something that they did not need or want. So you are very practical. I'm going to be a little bit more philosophical. And my header would be, can money make you happy? Happiness versus happiness and wealth. And I think that's a question we do get a lot. I think there's no clear answer. I think it's a debate that's been around for years. And I think the short answer is yes, money can make you happy up until a certain point. I think all of us realize if you don't have enough money to cover your basic essentials, to live a certain standard of life, then definitely life is harder without money. If you can't put your kids through school, if you can't feed them, if you can't buy them a home or a proper shelter, then definitely there's some unhappiness with not being able to have money. But that then brings us to kind of like a second phase in life, like when is enough, or how much money should you accumulate, and to what extent, and what should you give up in order to accumulate that wealth. And I think that's a question a lot of our clients have when they start accumulating wealth, and a question that a lot of people have. And I just want to share one. I'm going to share one slide with you because I'm currently reading this book by Robin Sharma. I'm not sure if probably you've heard of him, but this is the Everyday Hero. And if you know his books, you know he's got a different way of looking about things. And he's definitely not against accumulating wealth, but he's more about looking at the, let me just open my slide, looking at wealth in general. And he looked in his book, he looks at the 8 forms of wealth. And that was for me quite interesting. And I'm working with a client recently, and he just mentioned that he's kind of reaching his targets financially, but his health, he let his health go, and also his relationships. And this is why it's quite important to look at the 8 forms of wealth. I'm not going to go into every single one of them. You can actually Google it and download it yourself. It's you can just go to the everydayheromanifesto.com. We will just put it in the link below, the 8 forms of wealth. And then they look at the different sides to your life, basically. There's 8 sides. There's self-mastery, health, family, your craft or career, prosperity, which is only one of them. So that's where the finance comes in, mentors, adventure, and the impact you are making in the world. And once again, we want to know, like, start where you are. What do you think you currently score and why? And then you put in a game plan to actually become better in all of those areas. So that was for me a very interesting way of looking at it. And he mentioned that, and it kind of makes sense. He said there's a lot of wealthy people in the world, a lot of rich people in the world, but so very few of them actually live a world-class life. And I think if you compare those two versus the wealthy and living a world-class life, that is completely two different things, because we see a lot of wealthy people who's very unhappy, or their relationships is suffered, or the health suffered. So I think that's just a reminder for us to know what's important for you. This is also very personal. Know what's important for you. How do you see a world-class life for you? And then using the money to give you that life and not to override that life. And I think that's very important, just once again, for us to all keep that on top of mind on this journey to obviously create more wealth for ourselves and opportunities for others.
Thank you.
But that's it from me. Hope you guys have a good week, and we look forward to chatting to you soon.
Thank you. Cheers.